God bless Doug Poppa, an honest cop.
See, we did it, Doug. You don't come out, you don't buck the system. No matter what the reason is, you just can basically keep your mouth shut.
The high price one cop is paying for telling the truth.
From Las Vegas, Nevada, this is the Doug Poppa Podcast for Thursday, December 5th, 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, this podcast is about the police killing of Brandon Durham in Las Vegas, Nevada on November 12th. I want you to take a listen and look at this video.
You said hoodies. Do you know what color?
Red.
Both of them are in red hoodies?
Hey, drop the knife!
Oh my gosh, he just got in the house. Medium to heavy.
What color shirt do you have on?
He has a black sweatshirt and red beanie.
Black sweatshirt, red beanie?
Yes.
Hey, drop the knife!
1-3. I was out there yesterday, Greg. The aggressor in the situation yesterday was a transgender BMA, tall with a black wig.
Transgender BMA with a black, what was the rest?
With a black wig.
Hey, drop the knife!
I'm a nice male, 20s to 30s, 5'10", medium build. Red beanie, wearing a black sweatshirt and dark colored pants.
Hey, drop the knife! Red hoodie.
Do you have a clothing description?
Hoodie.
You said hoodies. Do you know what color?
Red.
Both of them are in red hoodies?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. First call was Mr. Durham on November 12th, calling the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Communications Center, 911 operator. And it's an excerpt only, because I'm only putting pertinent excerpts that's pertinent to this podcast. And she's asking for a clothing description of the suspects, and he says hoodie, red hoodie, and she confirms that. And the second voice you heard, the female, that is the neighbor across the street. 911 operator is asking her to describe the person, and you hear her say he's now going into the house with a red beanie. And then the next video that you saw was Officer Alexander Bookman responding to Mr. Durham's residence on November 12th. And he gets on the radio and he says, I was there yesterday. The aggressor in that situation was a transgender black male adult with a wig. And then the next video you saw was the cruiser, and it has the audio on there, and the dispatch is putting out a red beanie. And then you heard the officer at the end, after Mr. Durham was shot 6 times, yelling to Officer Bookman and the other officers that were coming in, suspect red hoodie, because Alejandra Boudreaux was on the floor with Mr. Durham after Mr. Durham was shot, and that officer is saying that's the suspect in the red hoodie. A little late for that, but I'm just putting that out, and I'm wearing this to make a point, okay? The description was 2 suspects, one wearing a red hoodie, entered the home, the gunshots, and it was a home invasion. Why in hell Officer Bookman dropped a bead on the homeowner, Mr. Durham, I can't figure this out, unless we're missing something here, but I'm looking, like everybody else is the video that we saw. That's the body cam video for Officer Bookman. We heard nothing on any video or any audio that was released thus far from the police department where the dispatcher told those cops that one of the intruders was in his underwear. And I don't think we're going to hear that. We heard a red hoodie, a red beanie. One of the subjects made entry, and the red hoodie is now into the home. This was, in my opinion, a 100% bad shooting by the police officer, Officer Bookman. I wasn't there, and neither was anybody else. But they used the deadly force standard in this country, and I'm a former police officer, a former law enforcement officer, and criminal investigator, is what a reasonable officer would have done the same thing in a similar circumstance. Well, I can tell you this, from looking at that video, and I'm going into a home invasion with 1 or 2 suspects in the home, the suspect's wearing a red hoodie and or red beanie, and I see the subject, the homeowner, in his underwear, struggling with the other person with heavy clothes with a red hood on, which is the description of the suspect. If anybody was going to be in my sights, it would have been the person, Boudreaux, in the red hoodie, not the homeowner in his underwear. It was apparent to me, and I've looked at this video 20 ways to Sunday, that Mr. Durham was restraining Boudreaux when that officer turned the corner. So it's a tragedy, ladies and gentlemen. It's a tragedy, and I can't justify this, and I'm sorry, but I can't do that. I want to go back to get this up on the screen for you. Okay. This went out on my X on November 18th. And the Doug Poppa Podcast was the first media outlet to bring up Boudreaux's criminal history, the name change, and I was the first one to post a photograph that came from Florida of Boudreaux. And then the other media finally picked up on it and did it. So this is what I posted, and I'm going to go ahead and read it. Exclusive breaking news update. Brandon Durham, the innocent homeowner killed by a Las Vegas Metro police officer on November 12th, after calling 911 for help during a home invasion, was apparently fighting for his life with a 190-pound biological male 10 years younger than he. According to Broward County, Florida court records obtained by the Doug Poppa Podcast, on November 4, 2014, petitioner Robert Boudreaux Williams filed for an adult name change, Alejandra Marie Boudreaux. Criminal history records obtained by the podcast indicate that on February 23, 2017, Boudreaux was arrested by Miramar PD, Florida, for felony battery, domestic strangulation. Bail posted. December 12, 2017, amended plea of nolo contendere entered. On April 6, 2018, a violation of probation warrant was issued for Boudreaux. March 26, 2019, records indicate 11 months, 3 weeks probation, start December 12, 2017, end December 3, 2018. Provisions, no contact with victim, complete 26-week batterers intervention program, complete 26-week batterers intervention program, September 5, 2017, Hollywood PD, Florida arrest for trespass and structure/convey/occupy. Investigation continuing by the Doug Poppa Podcast. So I was the first one to put out the photo and the criminal history, and that the name change was changed from Mr. Williams to Alejandra Boudreaux. Then on November 21st, I posted this. This was also posted on X. I don't think you'll be able to see it, but I'll go ahead and read it. And this was my analysis. And like I said, posted on my X account November 21st. And I said, new. This analysis is done from my perspective as a former law enforcement officer and criminal investigator who was involved in dozens of structure entries during my career. By now, it has been widely reported that Las Vegas Metro Police Communications Bureau 911 operator was made aware by both Brandon Durham and a neighbor that the suspect was wearing red apparel. This information was relayed to the responding officers via radio, and they were aware that the person reporting was inside the residence. Before making entry into the Durham residence, which was the correct tactic given the information they had, and the only thing that went right that night, it appears there was a lack of communication between the three officers prior to making entry. Any discussion between the officers that they were all on the same page that a suspect inside was wearing red attire? Apparently not. On November 18th, I published on X excerpts from the declaration of arrest. In the review of 911 phone call, it states, during the conversation with the call taker, the male stated the subjects were wearing red hoodies, unquote. From the interview with Officer Joshua Romansky, quote, dispatch broadcasted that there were two possible suspects and one of them wore a red hoodie. After the shots, Officer Romansky peeked around the hallway and observed a person in a red hood, Alejandra Boudreaux, seated in the threshold. From the interview with Officer Kyle Brogdon, Officer Brogdon turned the corner and observed a male with no shirt and a person wearing a hood struggling over a knife. Officer Brogdon could not tell who was actually holding the knife because the two individuals were in a physical altercation in close proximity to each other. Within half a second, Officer Bookman fired shots. Both subjects fell to the ground, and Officer Brogdon approached. Officer Brogdon observed that one of the subjects, turned out to be Alejandra Boudreaux, was wearing a red hoodie and remembered the broadcasted suspect description included a red hood. Officer Brogdon advised the officers of that and to put her in handcuffs. And I go on, I say, so, after Brandon Durham, an innocent man in his own home, was shot 6 times in his underwear, it was then that Officer Brogdon remembered the suspect description included a red hood. A little late for that, and it goes to what I said earlier, apparently no communication before entry, that they were all aware the suspect was wearing red. Here's another thing that bothers me. From the interview with the unidentified person, and this comes from the declaration of arrest, ladies and gentlemen, I'll get into this a little bit later. Unidentified person woke to someone breaking the windows to the residence. Unidentified stood up from the couch and hid behind it. Unidentified fell asleep and did not wake up, listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, until 0600 hours when a crime scene analyst found her behind the couch. And then I say, what the fuck? You couldn't make this stuff up. How do you clear a house and garage after an officer-involved shooting and yet miss a person sleeping for over 5 hours who was only found because of the crime scene analyst? Disgusting. Another screw-up. Sad and tragic state of affairs all the way around. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about this. After the officer-involved shooting, other officers cleared the house. Was there a supervisor there? Did they clear it twice? Because they missed a person who was in that house with Brandon Durham and his daughter for 5 hours, and it was only found by the crime scene analyst. Well, you know what? They're lucky, ladies and gentlemen, that the person that was sleeping wasn't hurt, shot, or killed. That's the way it could have turned out, and bled out. Can you imagine that? And then the cops find the person, I believe it was a female, 5 hours later. What about the crime scene analyst? What if that was a bad guy? Crime scene analyst was in there by herself. Bad guy comes up, shoots, hurts the crime scene analyst. I don't understand what happened that night, but between a bad shooting and a person hiding in a house or garage, wherever this person was and wherever the couch was, and they missed it after clearing a house on an officer-involved shooting, is a freaking goddamn disgrace. I don't know what the hell's going on over at Metro, so I want to get that out. Okay. Now I want you to listen to Let me play this video again because it's just unbelievable to me.
Oh my gosh, he just got in the house. Medium
Okay.
to heavy.
What color shirt do you have on?
He has a black sweatshirt and red
Okay.
beanie.
Black sweatshirt, red beanie?
Yes.
Hey, hands off the knife!
Can I
1 Lincoln 3. I was out there yesterday, Greg. The aggressor in the situation yesterday was a transgender BMA, tall with a black wig.
Transgender BMA with a black, what was the rest?
With a black wig.
Hey, hands off the knife!
I'm on my male 20s to 30s by 10 medium build. Red beanie, wearing a black sweatshirt and dark colored pants.
Hey, hands off the knife! Suspect! Red hoodie. Red hoodie. Hey.
Do you have a clothing description?
Hoodie.
That's
You
Mr.
said
Durham.
hoodies. Do you know what color?
Red.
Both of them are in red hoodies?
Hey, hands off the knife!
Okay, you heard Officer Brogdon at the end, after Mr. Durham's down. I just wanted to play that again. He yelled at the officers, a suspect red hoodie, suspect red hoodie. Okay, they knew the suspect was wearing a red hoodie. Why the hell did Bookman fire on the freaking homeowner, Brandon Durham? Okay, I can't understand this. Now, I'm going to put this up on the screen. I'm going to read some excerpts from the Declaration of Arrest. I put all this stuff on my X account a couple of weeks ago when this thing started, and but I want to read it for people that maybe don't know what I'm talking about with this the Brandon Durham killing. So let me get this up on there for you. It'll just keep looping. I'm just going to read a couple of things here. And first one I'm reading, this is from the Declaration of Arrest, and it's the interview with Officer Joshua Romansky. And it says, Officer Romansky responded to a possible shooting call at 6995 Wine River Drive. While en route, dispatch broadcasted that shots were being fired. Dispatch broadcasted that there were two possible suspects, and one of them wore a red hoodie. I'm going to read that again, ladies and gentlemen. This is from the Declaration of Arrest, the interview that was done with Officer Joshua Romansky by the detectives. Dispatch broadcasted that there were two possible suspects, and one of them wore a red hoodie. And then it goes down to the bottom. Officer Romansky heard Officer Bookman yell to drop the knife. Officer Romansky looked toward Officer Bookman and observed him firing shots. After the shots, Officer Romansky peeked around the hallway and observed a person in a red hood, which was Alejandra Boudreaux, seated in the threshold, and a person, Brandon Durham, with no shirt, lying on the bedroom floor. This is from the interview with Officer Kyle Brogdon from the Declaration of Arrest. These are just excerpts. Officer Brogdon responded to a possible shooting call at 6995 Wine River Drive. While en route, an update was broadcasted that an unknown race male wearing a red hooded sweatshirt made entry into the residence. Then it goes down to the bottom. Officers kicked open the door, and Officer Brogdon heard screams for help coming from the rear of the residence. Ladies and gentlemen, the screams for help were Mr. Durham. Officer Brogdon heard Officer Bookman say, quote, drop the knife. Officer Brogdon turned the corner and observed a male with no shirt and a person wearing a hood struggling over a knife. Officer Brogdon could not tell who was actually holding the knife because the two individuals were in a physical altercation in close proximity to each other. Within half a second, Officer Bookman fired shots. Both subjects fell to the ground, and Officer Brogdon approached. Officer Brogdon observed that one of the subjects, Alejandra Boudreaux, was wearing a red hoodie and remembered the broadcasted suspect description included a red hood. I'm reading from the Declaration of Arrest still. This one's titled Review of the 911 Phone Call. And it says, during the conversation with the call taker, and the call taker, ladies and gentlemen, was Brandon Durham, The mail stated the subjects were both wearing red hoodies. So how many times does a police officer have to be told that a suspect in the house, one of them, was wearing a red hoodie, and you drop a bead on the homeowner who's wearing underwear, shoot him in the head, and then shoot him 5 more times as he's going down or was down, without realizing that the suspect in the house, one of them, was wearing red apparel, red hoodie, or red beanie. For the life of me, ladies and gentlemen, I can't understand why Officer Bookman fired on Mr. Durham, who was in his underwear that night. But he did, and Mr. Durham is gone. He's not here anymore. He's dead. Now, I'm going to play this. This is the, on the plane here, is the audio excerpts. They're just excerpts from the day prior when you heard Officer Bookman, when he was responding on November 12th, say, I was there yesterday, and the aggressor was a transgender, a black male adult wearing a wig. This is the phone call that Brandon Durham made the day before to excerpts of it to the 9/11 operator. You listen to this.
I got a house guest. Some guy kind of just won't leave, and so like I don't want to get into any issues. I'm like, I'm gonna ask him to leave, but I'd rather just use the authorities to make sure.
I need this person. I got a trespasser. Me and my kid are here, man. This person won't leave. He's kind of big old black guy, kind of crazy. So.
Okay, where is he at?
In my garage. I turned into a man cave.
And how do you know this person?
You were a friend at first, but then I was like, hey, you make me or something. And I'm like, I'm not gonna fight you, you know, like you're bigger than me. And they said, well, then I'm not going at you when you make me go. And I was like, oh, okay, then I'm gonna call. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm not gonna go. We never no fight, no scratching, nothing like that. So nothing there. Just need to, you know, I don't want to get to that point. You know what I'm saying?
Did you want him formally trespassed or just moved along?
What the difference is?
The difference is if he returns after being trespassed, he can get arrested.
Yes, I want that one. You know, my room got a little messed up a little bit and stuff like that. It looked like he was looking for something.
Are you going to be waiting inside the home for us?
Yeah, I'll be on the outside. I don't want to get in any tussle. I feel like if we start doing it, we'll get in a screaming match.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was excerpts from the call Mr. Durham made the night before. You hear him say he's going to be waiting outside in his car for the police, and there's a reason why I want to hit on that. And then he also heard his response when the dispatcher says, do you want the person trespassed? Now, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, as of the time I'm recording this podcast on Thursday, December 5th, and it's 21:33 hours, 9:33 Pacific time, has not released the body cam video of Officer Bookman and other officers who were there the day before, because there were at least 2 other officers from his squad the day before. There was a Jace Metcalf, and then also, I believe it was Romansky, Joshua Romansky was there, and I'll get to that in a second. But I'm talking about the day before Mr. Durham was killed. When you heard him there saying, I got a trespasser, I want him out. She says, do you want him trespassed? And he says, what does that mean? She says, well, if he's trespassed, you know, he can come back and could be arrested. He says, yes, that's the one that I want. Now, I'm bringing this up because people who are talking to me within Metro, and I can't confirm this because the only way this can be confirmed, ladies and gentlemen, is when the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department releases the body-worn camera video footage of Officer Bookman the day prior. But I was told that the day prior, Officer Bookman physically trespassed Alejandra Boudreaux from the residence. And then there was some communication either by phone or physical contact with Mr. Durham after they took care of the incident. And I believe it was done in person, but I can't confirm it. I'm just being told this. but the body cam video of Officer Bookman needs to be released by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department because I and the family and a lot of the people want to see what his interaction was the day before with Alejandra Boudreaux. But like I said, I was told that Officer Bookman physically trespassed her. And what happens with that is when you do that, the police officer is going to read you the NRS 207.200 statute, which basically says they're acting as an agent of the owner. The homeowner does not want you on this property. If you do not leave immediately, be subject to arrest for trespassing. And this is important, ladies and gentlemen. And if you return, you will be subject to arrest for trespassing. We know that Alejandra Boudreaux returned the next night. So another question I got. Officer Bookman was told the suspect had a red hoodie on November 12th. He's on the radio on November 12th saying, I was there yesterday, and the aggressor was a transgender black male adult with the wig. Well, if it's indeed true what I was told, that he physically read her the trespass the night before, he definitely knew what she looked like, okay? And he knew she shouldn't be in that home on November 12th when he turns the corner and he's got his gun sight on Mr. Durham. He should have said, that's the person I trespassed last night. That's the intruder. Even if you're that brain dead that you cannot figure out that the person in the underwear is not the freaking suspect, okay? The suspect description was wearing red beanie, red hoodie. I mean, anybody with reasonable police officer, that's the standard they use, okay, would have known that's the homeowner struggling with the goddamn suspect, and the homeowner ends up freaking dead. Now, I'm going to put this over here, on here, get it up in the corner there. Okay, this is the, and I'm going to read some stuff here. This is the Communication Center event log for November 10th and November 11th, because the call came in at 23:22, the first call. That's 11:22 p.m. on the 10th, and then this whole incident went to the early morning hours of 11th when the police got there. So when Officer Bookman said he responded, he actually responded, the 10th and then the 11th, early morning hours. But I want to read the event log. Just okay, it starts at 23:22, and it's a little confusing here because if you listen to that audio I just played of him calling in, he says, first he says, I want the person, I got an intruder, and then he goes, I think he was on the phone, and I think he either hung up or they lost contact with him, they called him back, but I'll tell you why. Because it says 23:22, that's 11:22 on November 10th. This is from the log. It says blank to G. Code G means dispatch canceled. Cancel the call. And then the next thing down, it says open line, silence only, shuffling heard, nothing 425 heard. 425 means nothing suspicious. So something was going on the phone, I think, when he first called in. Either he left the phone on or something. When the dispatcher's logging in, she's hearing an open line, silence only, shuffling heard, nothing 425 heard. Okay? Then it goes on to incident type. It goes from a 404, which is unknown trouble, to a 416B, which is other disturbance. Again, this is the November 10th going into November 11th. And then we see at 23:25 hours, it says between PR, person reporting, that's Mr. Durham, ex-friend / ex-friend refusing to leave, negative 415. The 415 is assault and battery, so she's saying negative 415. This is coming, obviously, from Mr. Durham on the phone with her, okay? And I don't have that full tape, but this is from the event log. Then it says here, because we heard her say trespass, it says REQ XPass. That means the caller's requesting a trespass. And then / ex-friend Marie, BMA, that's black male adult, heavy build, black wig, black shirt, black pants. That was her dress the day before. Appears 408, which means drunk, 446, which is narcotics, negative WPNS scene. WPNS is weapons. So the dispatcher is saying, that I guess because Mr. Durham is relating this to her, that the trespasser, the night before, Boudreaux, appears 408-446, either drunk or on some type of narcotic. Then she says negative weapon seen, because that's coming from the caller, Mr. Durham. Then the case opens up again. It goes from closed, because she had it closed for some reason, to pending. And then it says updated first name, caller, Brandon, person 1, last name, Durham. Then we go down 23:25 hours, 11:25. PR, standing by outside of residence in blue SUV, /PR, negative 408-446, weapons. So she's saying, she's talking to Mr. Durham, and I guess the way she's talking, and she's asking him, you want drunk? No. And he does, she puts that there negative. So she doesn't think Mr. Durham is drunk or on narcotics, and negative weapons. And then it has the address, 6995 Wine River Drive. And then we go down the bottom, and then it's a primary officer, a blank to 1 Lincoln 3, and it has his vehicle 10811. So the primary officer on that call, according to the dispatch event log for November 10th going into November 11th, was 1 Lincoln 3, and we know who 1 Lincoln 3 is because the next line says, now they're into after midnight, 00 and 4 seconds. So now we're right after midnight, and she lists 1 Lincoln 3, Officer Bookman Alexander. So that's the primary officer on the call. And then call pending to active. So now it's active because he's the responding officer. And then there's another officer responding with him, according to this, 1 Lincoln Tom Victor, Officer Romansky Joshua. That's the same officer that's with him the next night when they go into the residence. And then it lists the address a couple more times, some other stuff that we don't need to talk about. And then another officer also responding to this, 1 Lincoln 4, and it says Officer Metcalf Jace. That's Officer Jace, Jace, J-A-Y-C-E, Metcalf. And Officer Metcalf was also one of the officers that responded the next night, but wasn't one of the first 3 that went in. But he is on the declaration of arrest as one of the, because other officers were responding because they had the gunshot call and the trespasser. So he was also there. He's there also, allegedly, according to this, the night before. And then at 00 and 2 minutes after midnight on the 11th, she puts in received from PR, still refusing to leave. So she's obviously on the phone with Mr. Durham, and Boudreaux is still refusing to leave. They're en route. They're not there yet. And then down here at 13 minutes after midnight, she logs in vehicle info, license plate 77220, N as in Nora, State, Nevada. That, I believe, is Mr. Durham's vehicle. And because I was told that they made, and I believe they went up to Mr. Durham after they trespassed Boudreaux and they were speaking to him in person, but I can't confirm that because we don't have any of the body cam video from the 11th or in that morning, and that's what we need to see. And then it goes down, it's over here. Okay, then 1 Lincoln 3 is code 4 at 27 minutes. That's Officer Bookman. He's just saying everything is code 4. And then the next entry is friend agreed to leave, packed up her things, and called Uber to airport. And then 1 Lincoln 4, which was Jace Metcalf, he clears. She's got him clearing. Disposition blank to N Nora for him. N Nora is an unofficial code that they use, meaning the backup officer is leaving, he's clearing, and that was Metcalf. And then we go down to the bottom there, and the disposition now changes to J. John, and J. John means settled at the scene. So Officer Bookman, according to this log, called in that he made contact with Boudreaux. She was leaving, and the call was settled at the scene. And then it says 1 Lincoln 3, active to closed, and the case was closed at 53 minutes after midnight, which is about a little less than 10 minutes before 1 o'clock a.m. So that's what we have there. Okay, so again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a freaking tragedy, okay? A homeowner calls for help, okay, and he ends up dead. And I said that on my Twitter account, and the first time I heard this, I said, the homeowner who called for help goes out in a body bag, and the suspect who broke into the house is alive and goes out of the house in handcuffs under arrest, okay? I can't understand that, this thing here. Now, I got some questions here I just wrote down myself. So I say here, because I don't hear this on the tape, and this kind of bothers me, because I've called Metro a couple of times when I was involved or seen things going on, and they always ask, at least they did with me, and I wasn't part of the situation, I'm just calling in, they say, what are you wearing, okay? Because they don't want, the caller there getting hurt by the cops when they come. I do not hear in any tape or video that is available now that I have, that I've seen, where I hear the 911 operator asking Mr. Durham when he called in on the 12th, and you heard that tape when he's calling in, he says red hoodie. I do not hear her asking Mr. Durham, what are you wearing? And I think that's important, because if she would have asked that question and he said, I'm in my freaking underwear, that would have gone over the radio. And then if a brain-dead cop goes in and can't figure out that the guy in the underwear is the freaking homeowner and not the person who should be shot is the one with the hoodie, but that obviously didn't go over the air, because I do not believe she asked Mr. Durham, what are you wearing? And like I said before, there is nothing on anything that we've seen or heard thus far that was released by Metro where anybody said one of the people breaking into the house and making entry is a guy in his underwear. It was completely the opposite. It's a red hoodie, a red beanie, went into the house. Red apparel, ladies and gentlemen, red attire. Like this, okay? Some people are asking me, I get calls, what about less lethal? Why didn't they go in with less lethal? They have a beanbag, which is a less lethal from the shotgun, but it's a beanbag shotgun, and they have something else in the car they use like for crowds and stuff. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, the call was shots fired, intruders going in the house, homeowners are in there. You don't go into a deadly force situation with the less lethal weapon. At least I wouldn't. I'm not going to go for the beanbag shotgun when I believe there's probably people in the house, and the call was shots fired. And I'll get into that in another podcast, because Mr. Durham did say shots fired, because I believe he heard the bricks breaking the glass on the car. It sounded like gunshots. He even said at one point that he thought he was shot. But you don't go into a deadly force situation and bring a beanbag. You're using your weapon, using your firearm. Well, that's what I would do. So that's the answer to a couple people who are asking me. And I'm going to reiterate this, ladies and gentlemen. If Officer Bookman, like I've been told, okay, trespassed Miss Boudreaux, or he, whatever transgender, okay, they're calling him a black male adult. If he was in front of him, made contact with them, and read him the trespass, okay, then how the hell would he not recognize him the next day? And if he did, I don't see how he couldn't. He would have known right away, that's the person I trespassed from the property last night, and she has no business being in the house now because I trespassed her the night and told her that, or him, whatever this person goes by, and he's got the sights on Mr. Durham. And ladies and gentlemen, I can't play the video because YouTube will block me, but I'll have the link at the full video of Mr. Durham getting shot is on my X account, on the Doug Poppa Podcast X account. This is what it was. You saw the video, and we all saw it. Hey, drop the knife, bang. There was no time for him to respond to the command of drop the knife. It was, hey, drop the knife, bang, and then bang, 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 bang. And you got to remember, you saw those, when he turns the corner, he's got that LED white light on his firearm, and both him and Boudreaux, they're staring because it's like a deer in a headlight. You shine a headlight on a deer or a spotlight, they freeze. I can't imagine what was going on in Mr. Durham's head at that time, ladies and gentlemen. He hears the cops coming in, calling Metro Police. He's yelling to them. We heard that on the tape. Hey, hey, hey. Bad guys don't stay in the house and yell, hey, 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 to the cops like I'm over here, okay? Well, he did that. We heard it. That's on the tape. You can see it. You can hear it, okay? And he must have said, wow, so I'm fighting with this person, restraining the knife, fighting whatever he was, and now they're going to help me. And the next thing that happens within a second, the man's shot, okay? I can't, this to me, I don't care what anybody else says, okay? Everybody's got their own opinion on this. I wasn't there, you're not there. I'm looking at this video, and to me, this is a 1,000% bad shooting. Mr. Durham should never have been shot. If you're going to shoot anybody that night, okay, you shoot the goddamn person in the red freaking hood who went over the radio and said one of the suspects ended, he's wearing a red freaking hood. That's the person that should have been shot, not the guy in his underwear who's obviously the freaking homeowner, okay? I said that 10 times. I'll say 10 more if I have to. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, another question. Everybody's thinking that this thing is going to be settled, this investigation, within a couple of weeks. Now, unless Metro changes their policy, okay, for this one, because this is a fatal OIS, officer-involved shooting, but, ladies and gentlemen, the average time for the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department to complete an investigation on an officer-involved shooting is about 1 year. You heard it, 1 year, okay? Then they forward their reports, the Office of Internal Oversight report and the Force Investigation Team report. When those are completed in about a year, they forward those to the Clark County District Attorney's Office. The Clark County District Attorney's Office reviews that and determines whether he's going to file criminal charges or bring charges to a grand jury. And that's another question people are asking, and the answer to this is no, ladies and gentlemen. The Clark County District Attorney's Office does not have a detective division. They do not investigate the crimes. They rely on the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's investigation, and then when their investigation is turned over to the police, it's turned over to the Clark County District Attorney's Office, and they make a determination. Now, unless they change something and speed it up for this thing, 8 months, a year, maybe longer, before we have a determination from the District Attorney's Office where the case is turned over to them. And how do you know that? You can go on the public site, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, look up fatal OISs, officer-involved shootings, and if you'll see, and I just did it yesterday, there's 2 that still haven't been completed that occurred 2 or 3 from November or December of last year, and I think there's 5 or 6 fatal officer-involved shootings this year that are still under investigation. So they still have officer-involved shootings from November and December of 2023 still open under investigation. So if people think this thing is going to be solved and there's going to be a termination and whether there's going to be charges to the officer, none of that's going to happen, if it happens at all, until the police investigation is completed, and that may be a year from now, unless they do something different because of the high profile of this case. But if they go with what they normally do, a year, and maybe we'll get something. I don't have any idea, ladies and gentlemen, if Officer Bookman's going to be charged with a criminal charge. But you got to remember, a day or 2 after this, the union president, his name is Steve Gramis, and the union attorney for the Las Vegas Police Protective Association, which is the union for the Las Vegas rank-and-file police officers, okay, and David Roger is the attorney, the general counsel for the LVPPA, they told the media that there's no crime here. The officer perceived a threat, and, he fired. And that's real interesting because several interviews done by the local media with Steve Wolfson, who's the Clark County District Attorney out here, and he said, the last one I heard was, this is a very complex case, and people are making a determination over looking at a 15-second video and coming up with they believe what happened. This is a very complex case, and could be months before he gets all the details from the police. Well, if that's true, that it's complex, and we're missing something here, then how the hell does the union come out a day or 2 after this and say, hey, guy didn't do anything wrong, perceived a threat, shot Durham, tragedy, but that's the way it goes. And, well, then why is Wolfson saying this is going to take months? Like I said, this should take a year, okay? I don't know what we're missing. I don't believe we're missing a goddamn thing, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Sheriff McMahill, I'm asking you this right now. Release the body cam video of Officer Bookman and any other officer who was with them on November 11th, the day before, so we can actually see what I'm being told is either true or not true. Did Officer Bookman, and he says he was there when he's on that radio. He doesn't say what he did. He just says, The aggressor the day before when I was here was a transgender black male adult wearing a wig, okay? I'm hearing from people talking to me that Officer Bookman physically read Alejandra Boudreaux the trespass the day before. And we will see whether that happened or not on his body-worn camera video, and if he went over to the vehicle where Mr. Durham was waiting after they trespassed and the Uber came and she left the scene and they went over and told him what occurred. But we're only going to know that when we see the body cam video. And that body cam video should be released immediately. I see no reason why that's going to affect the criminal investigation. The body cam video is what it is. Just like we're all seeing Mr. Officer Bookman turn the corner and then, hey, drop the knife, bang, 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 okay? I don't know what we're missing here. If we are, we have to wait and see. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. I'll have more stuff on this podcast on people want me to read like the entire declaration of arrest and show more stuff. I may do that on another podcast, but this is a tragedy. This should never, ever, ever have happened, okay? This is a red hoodie, okay? If you can't see as a police officer, when you get a call and it says one of the people making entry in the home is wearing a red hoodie, and you turn the corner, and we all see that video. We all see that photo here. I can't play the video, the shooting, because we don't want that one. That one either. Okay. Let me get that over here. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, red hoodie, struggling with a knife, Mr. Durham, in his underwear. Reasonable officer should have thought that the guy in the underwear restraining and fighting with the one in the hood is the homeowner, and the one in the red hood is the aggressor, is the intruder, is the trespasser, is the home freaking invader, okay? That's what it is in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, thanks for listening, and, condolences to Mr. Durham's friends and family. It's a tragedy, and hope we'll get more answers if there's any answers we're asking here. But I want that body-worn camera video from the night before released immediately, because if Officer Bookman made physical contact, and I believe he did, and read Miss Boudreaux or Mr. Boudreaux the trespass, okay? How the hell can you forget what that person looked like the next night? And like I said, and then you would know immediately when you saw her, when you shined the light on her. Hey, that's the idiot that trespassed last night. She's not even supposed to be in the house. Obviously, the guy in the underwear is the homeowner. I'll drop my sights on this person, okay? Because I have no problem if Officer Bookman would have shot Boudreaux, okay? He would have been a hero. But now he's a zero because he shot the freaking homeowner. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. Remember, support my work if you can, paypal.me, /Doug Poppa, independent journalist. I work by myself, and everything I do comes out of my own pocket. And I basically don't make any money from these podcasts, but I get this stuff out because I get information, and it's this case just as a former law enforcement officer just bugs the living daylights out of me. I can't justify Officer Bookman's actions, and I'm sorry. I got to say the way I feel, and that's just the way I feel. So thank you very much, and we'll see you on the. They get everything out here I want to get out? Yes. If not, we'll do it on a follow-up, and I'll see you on the on the next episode. Thanks for listening. And did I put the? People always ask me what's the episode number. There it is. I forget to do these titles. You're pushing all these buttons by myself and getting this stuff on the screen. It's freaking annoying. So anyway, that's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you on the next one. And thanks for listening.
If I wouldn't do it all over again, I would take the badge and I would leave it on somebody's desk and get out of police work.
One man who confronted truth and consequences.